Hi, okay, so today I would like to discuss Sarah McDonald's Holy Cow, an Indian Adventure under the stylistic microscope of alliteration. So Telka Boot defines
as the repetition of the same sound at the start of a series of words in succession whose purpose is to provide an audible pulse that gives a piece of writing a lulling, lyrical and/or emotive effect.
So I would like to begin with the largest extract from Holy Cow, to sort of like set the scene. So it's the preamble, the preface, a good hand job. New Delhi Airport, 1988. Madame, please, a high-pitched, wheezy whine in my ear. The final time, fuck off. My low growl through clenched teeth is a shamefully unoriginal, pathetic response, but it's all I'm capable of at 2 on Christmas morning. For 3 days, my friend Nick and I have been sitting on plastic airport chairs, waiting for the stifling, sticky smog to lift. For 3 nights I've lain on a bed in an airport hotel listening to Nick bounce the sounds of violent, double-ender, projectile vomits and diarrhea explosions off the bathroom walls. India is Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Tonight, in such a lovely place, the voices down my ear corridor belong to the airport toilet cleaner. He has abandoned his post at the urinal to pursue his part-time job as a professional beggar. Shuffling in a stooped circle, he hovers around us, as patient and persistent as a vulture waiting for death. He can smell our exhaustion and weakness, and we can smell him. His blue overalls are stained with urine and stink of mothballs. His breath reeks of pan, a red chewing tobacco that smells like a mix of overripe fruit and fluoride. At long last, a nasal voice calls our flight. The beggar shuffles forward to make his final swoop. Madames, sweet ladies, any spare rupees, please give. Please, no wife, many children. You wish me poor, please. His pitiful eyes pierce consciences swollen with Western guilt. His prey surrenders. With her final energy, Nick digs in her back pocket and gives the man our last few filthy notes, save for an emergency toilet supply. The dunny beggar straightens up, grabs her hand and smiles. His teeth the rainbow of green, yellow and red stains. Good money, madames, so I give good handjob. Taking the horrified look on Nick's face to be one of acceptance, he bows his head over her palm, looks up and drones, "Oh, madame, very soon marriage, very soon babies. 2 babies, oh dear, only girls." He shakes his head and stifles a tear of sympathy. Good, but nice girls, good girls. And madame, goodbye, never India again. Despite my exhaustion and exasperation, I somehow find the energy to laugh. Nick doesn't believe in marriage, never wants kids, and despite having shed half her body weight down India's toilets, is vowing to return. The old beggar bugger startles, stiffens, and wheels around to face me. He grabs my hand in his claw, smooths the lines with his thick thumb, spits a volley of red pan at my feet and pervs at my palm. Raising his bloodshot eyes to mine, he whispers ominously, You late marriage, old marriage, very sad. You get great jobbing, happy jobbing, meeting big people jobbing, but late loving. I yank my hand from his, pick up my backpack and storm towards the plane. He yells after me, You, madame, you come back to India. You come back for love. You love it. You love us again. I break into a run, push onto the plane and sink into my seat. As we take off, I give smog-swirled New Delhi the finger. Goodbye and good riddance, India. I hate you and I'm never ever coming back. Why is this amazing? Why does it slip off the tongue effortlessly and read so well that all you can do is turn around and go, wow, that was brilliant writing. In the above table is an abbreviation of this preface down to the percentage of how many times each letter is used, and the table above is the percentage of how many times the letter was used to begin a word. Note how repetitive this process is, going back and forth, namely A, H, P, S, and T. Shall we compare this to an extract of the very first iteration and beginning of my own novel, which I have since removed, but it wasn't until examining prose more closely under the device of alliteration that I noticed why it needed to go. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Shove a sock in it, I groaned on my pillow as I tucked my hair behind my troublesome ears, remembering how everyone in school had called me Elfie. Cock up, fucking dickhead. I reached under my pillow for my phone and turned up the volume. My desk was riddled with sketches as I searched through the mess, looking for the glasses that would transform bright splotches of colour on the canvas of my room into clothes flung across the floor. I'd thrown yesterday's shirt on the bedpost, which meant I'd narrowly escaped picking from the wardrobe. Old Spice, faint sweat, and a musty dampness meant it was wearable. I scratched my silky smooth chin, 20 years old, but I'd never been able to grow a beard. And then comparing that last table to this table, you can see how much more everything's more evenly distributed, basically. Like, almost all of them have 2 or 1%, 5%. There's no huge outliers except for E. And then you can also compare that to the table below where there's not any huge outliers, except even though they're both first person perspective, my short paragraph had much more I, me's, my's, which is what makes up the majority of the I and M portion. Now, why is this important? How often have you heard of the barrier placed on English prose? That it's not nearly as beautiful as in the Romance languages such as French. Talcott explains that this is because English predominantly stresses the first syllable rather than the last syllable, which also make English a very hard language to rhyme in. So, for example, compare these. So you have the English rival versus
rival, dentist, dentiste, culture, culture.
And you can see the different stresses. Like ours are all on the beginning of the word rather than the end. And then other languages have the end, which just shows the importance of why you need alliteration, why that rhyming scheme for alliteration is so important. So, Holy Cow is actually a memoir / travel narrative, but I would like to take a moment to read you this passage within it, and I've like deleted it and everything. Suddenly the smog parts like a curtain. A being emerges, naked, straight-backed, as grey as a ghost. His dreadlocks trail in the dirt. He carries a trident like a devil's rod. It's an agori, a sadhu, that lives in a cremation ground. A sadhu that smears himself with the ashes of the dead, drinks from human skulls, and looks for salvation in stoned madness. His red eyes look straight at me and through me. It's a look from another world, a window to nothingness, and a black hole of emptiness. I feel liquid freeze injected into my veins. My bones snap dry. My blood stands still. My breath is suspended. I'm being shot by a supernatural shotgun. The agori merges back into the mist. Jonathan wakes, and I can't talk to tell him what happened. Is that not the most fanciful, fictitious non-fiction you've ever heard? I do believe that this method that MacDonald employs could easily translate to prose fiction. And I believe it might be better applied to fiction. Having finished the book, I went to Goodreads and I was honestly quite surprised that it had a 3.5 rating. Holy Cow by Sarah MacDonald is the author's condescending account of the time she spent in India. Her descriptions of what is actually a beautiful, rich, varied culture are narrow-minded and written in a tone that makes it clear she considers herself superior to India and Indian people. It's a shame that she didn't learn anything useful from her travels or absorb any of admirable values of Indian Hindu culture, such as acceptance, open-mindedness, and respect for all beings. And if I could give a book negative stars, it would be this one. This girl seemed to complain about everything she was experiencing in India. I think I yelled at the book every chapter, "Go home." I wish I could give this book 0 stars. What a condescending, racist piece of garbage. And I do believe that these heated responses are caused by her almost hyperbolic use of alliteration. And now I would kind of like to show you how I use that in my own work. And for the new beginning of my fantasy novel, I also must confess and tell you that I find myself Googling synonyms all the time and just writing big lists of them to try and match ones that sound the best together and everything like that. So that's something you can also always do. The only lights in the darkness were the street lamps and the pinprick holes stars made seeping through the fabric of the night. Equestrian bones bound by soot and ash with manes of shadow drew a carriage to the forest's edge, disembarking its winged rider. The wagon was full of satanic necessities: caged pixies, seoscopes, battlefield chests, siren snares, and other illegal trade, including a barrel of poisoned wine, manufactured by injecting cicada snake venom into the grapes while they grow. So you can clearly see the alliteration that I've used here. And I would also like to leave you with 2 other things in relation to alliteration that you can consider with your own work. This is consonants and assonance. Consonants is the repetition of the consonant sound. So that is satanic necessities, caged pixies, seoscopes, battlefield chests, siren snares. And assonance is the repetition of the vowel sound. You have bones bound by soot and ash with manes of shadow. These are all powerful devices to make passages more memorable and improve your prose. And thanks so much for listening. I hope this helps you in some way, and I hope it's just good and useful. Okay, bye. Thanks, see ya.